Hi guys, it's Joey Rowan. Excuse me. I won't be doing pretty potions today, and as you can probably tell, I have no makeup on. I had a migraine, or the onset of a migraine last night. I had to go straight to bed, especially around my eyes. It's still very sensitive this morning, and I don't want to trigger a migraine, so I'm leaving all makeup off. Sorry, world. So you're just going to have to put up with me like this, I'm afraid. So today's video is Samhain cycles. Now, cycles is something that I think, and I've always thought, even before I'd even got into witchcraft, paganism, really dictated our lives. You obviously have the Wheel of the Year, as is celebrated in the Sabbats, which is supposedly mainly a Wiccan thing, but I think it's a fantastic way to celebrate the Wheel of the Year, the cycles of the year. Living in England, we have very definite cycles. They shift and change in more recent years a bit, but you have a very definite 4 seasons, which I love. One of the very few things I really love about England. And now is the time when people start thinking about cycles of within ourselves and within outside ourselves, because of Samhain being the witch's new year. It's representative of life and death, of the death of one year, of the rebirth of another. The symbolism, there's, you know, with the god dying and being reborn at Yule. The earth around us, a lot of it, not all of it, it seems to be dying off, going inwardly to be reborn in the new year. So even for people outside of the craft, there is, you know, the sense of the changing, even if people don't recognize it or realize it, maybe. Excuse me. A lot of people, you know, because we're going inside more, the weather's colder or wet or snowing. We're inside more often, we become more introverted. A lot of people start to have the more hearty foods. I mean, I'm not a hearty food kind of fan. There are some things I'll have, but that's true for some people. So the issue of cycles starts to become prevalent in our minds. Now, as I said, cycles are prevalent within us and without us the whole year round. It's just that at this time of year we really start to think about it, because Samhain is death. The death of one thing and then the rebirth of another. So this is true of the year, so how is it relevant to us? And I think this is a really important thing to be talking about in general, and specifically for ourselves, for people on YouTube, for people in the real world, etc. Because this is the time of year where we start looking at ourselves, our behaviour, our relationships with people, our own behaviours, habits, and start to think, and should start to think, what parts of my behaviour, what parts of my relationships, what parts of my life in general are negative and not serving in my better interests or in the better interests of everyone I know, of the world in general. What is making me a negative person? What is making me feel negative? What is putting out unpositive things into the world? What relationship should I really perhaps remove myself from? What am I doing which is just a cycle pattern of negativity, of hate, of... I mean, the fact of the matter is is that when excuse me, gosh, migraine leaves me... But I wanted to do this video even though I look like shit, basically, excuse my French. It's really difficult sometimes for us to realise that our behaviours are negative and impacting on other people negatively, because everybody thinks of themselves as generally speaking, of having the best intentions. And sometimes that's delusional and self-delusional, and if we're really, really honest with ourselves, we go, maybe shouldn't have done it. Particularly if you've done this behaviour on more than one occasion and afterwards you've had to apologise, say, for example, and then you've gone and done it again. It becomes a cycle of negativity that you really need to break yourself, because you are impacting negatively on yourself and on other people. The energy you are putting out there, the words you are putting out there, the judgment you are putting out there, it's not necessary, it's not needed, and it needs, basically, that sort of negative behaviour within yourself and with other people, it needs to die, because it's just going on and on and on. And if it doesn't die, the poison is going to seep into the new year, and we don't need another year of it, basically. So at which point we have a very difficult thing to do. It's very, very easy to say, I'm sorry, and not really mean it. It's very easy for you to think you have said sorry and think that's enough, but actually deep down in your heart you know that it's not enough. And you are just going to keep perpetuating this same cycle. Rather than fully commit to change, you're just going to bring it all up again. And it's not needed, it's not necessary, it's unhealthy for you, it's unhealthy for community, it's unhealthy for your family, it's unhealthy for your friends. It doesn't have to be. This is in very general terms, you see. Now, if this was a habit, say you were addicted to smoking, or you were addicted to drinking, and you were addicted to food, or any substance really, you're addicted to anything, you know, you have an unhealthy relationship with a physical thing, that is just the same in a lot of ways as being addicted to something, addicted to gossip, addicted to negative behaviours, addicted to a person even. You just can't leave a person alone. And it's, you say, oh, it's not the same as being addicted to a substance. Well, why is it not the same? You are impacting negatively on yourself and other people's lives, and the stress it causes is likely to make you physically ill and have symptoms on a physical level, the same as say drinking. People don't realise that the physical symptoms of stress can be some of the most damaging mentally and physically and emotionally. It's really not worth it. So at some point these cycles need to die. They need to go into the Samhain cauldron, they need to be burnt up, and they need to stop. And the first very, very important thing is the only person who can stop your behaviour is you. And there are levels of realisation, apology, and setting it right. Realisation is possibly the most difficult step, because a lot of people go, yeah, I know. And maybe they do on that very shallow level know that they should not be drinking as much, smoking as much, eating as much, conducting themselves in such a behaviour, having any interactions with said person, that they shouldn't be in that relationship. They know, but they don't want to hear it. They know it on a very shallow level, but they haven't really realised it yet. And the realisation is sort of, you know, when people say hitting rock bottom, I guess that's a bit like real realisation. Like, you realise just how negatively this is affecting other people and yourself, and just how much you are having a negative effect on yourself and others by conducting in the behaviour that needs to stop, for example. So Samhain is this time, right? You've got time from now until Samhain to go through the realisation steps. This behaviour, I cannot continue. This cannot continue in this way, because all it's going to generate is more hate, and more poison and more loathing and more fear and more negativity. And as witches and pagans, it is our duty to realize that our energy, our behaviors, our words, our actions, our YouTube videos, anything that we do and put out there is being infused with energy that we are more aware of. We are more aware of how our energy works and impacts and has an effect on us, others, community, and the world. We are aware, and we should be aware. If we call ourselves witches, then we have a moral obligation to ourselves and the people around us and everybody, as much as we can, to not behave in such a negative way that we perpetuate these negative cycles. People out there try to start positive cycles. Lovely Brookie, hey Brookie, did her competition, which was, the whole point was to bring together community. And the problem is that the negative cycles are so much more, I don't know, the pitfalls are easier. It's easier to gossip and bitch than it is to say stand up for someone. It's easier to judge somebody than help somebody. And I don't know. For some reason, human beings have this need to make themselves feel better by looking down on, gossiping, judging, saying "I told you so" or whatever at people. It's not necessary. It's just the continuation of a negative cycle that needs to die, because this poison is filling the world. It fills YouTube. We've had so many people where people are like, this needs to stop, and yet it's not stopped. It fills us. People have stepped away from YouTube videos. People who could share real knowledge, real information, they have had to step away from YouTube because it's just not worth it. Because they receive hate on some level, emails, comments, negative cycles, basically. There's this huge thing on the internet. I don't know what it is. There's a huge perpetuation of negative cycles on the internet because people have anonymity. Like, they wouldn't behave this way in normal life because there would be consequences, but they can behave like this on the internet. And you're really fooling yourself if you're thinking that just because you can hide behind something that it isn't going to affect you, yours, other people. I mean, I don't know if people really realise the impact they're having on real people. I don't know. So because we're coming up to Samhain, this is a time of the year when witches in particular should be aware of the shifting energies within the world. Now, I've mentioned the obvious ones that most people can. Ugh, I'm sorry, I'm such a mess, guys. That most people can realise, that the nature around us, if you have eyes to see, you can notice. But the energy shifts around this time of the year do something to witches. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? The energy around this time of the year starts to, I'm doing this with my hands, affect and change and pull us in directions and make us examine and think and realize about cycles, about things that need to end, about... The fact is, a lot of witches get very excited about Samhain, and sometimes it can be really difficult to understand why. Well, and I've put a few suggestions around, but here's another one. Samhain is a beginning. And often when we start things, we are very, very excited to. So, for example, when I started a university course, I was always very, very excited at the start. And that's true of this year, This has the potential the excitement. This has the potential to be your best year ever. This has the potential to you to grow as a person in ways you'd never thought of, to meet new people, to have new friendships, to start a new project, to start over, start fresh, and change who you are as a person. And that is fully possible. You should never be afraid of that possibility. What you have to realize is the commitment to this thing. You have to realize that just to say, I want to change this, this, and this, isn't enough. Just to say, oh, well, I was wrong about that. It's not enough. To realize you were wrong about something is the very first step, and then to start changing your behaviors is the really important one. For example, say you're addicted to a substance, then, in fact, you know what, in any circumstances of you are addicted to some sort of negative behavior, I would suggest outside help, because professional outside help, because you're gonna go through it, right? You're gonna go through withdrawal, and this is where most people fall straight back into their habit. People get a high off whatever they're addicted to. So you're getting drunk, you're smoking, you're drugs, food, addicted to negative behaviour with one person, addicted to negative people with a group of people, addicted to a relationship which is no good for you, and you know, maybe you're fighting and screaming and then make up. It's the highs of it, right? It's those highs that you're addicted to. And people can sort of go away for a little while, but then they go straight back to it because they haven't really gotten over that need for that high. I, at that point, suggest that professional help, because it's really difficult on your own. Now, some people have different amounts of willpower, and depending on what the thing is. For myself, I'll give two examples, okay? I have problems with food, and I had problems with Diet Coke. Diet Coke was tied into my memories. Like, it was one of the few times my mother would ever buy me anything. I had that positive association with it. I drank an awful lot of it, and it was not good for me. One day 2 years ago, me and the gnome had been talking about it, and one day 2 years ago I gave it up and haven't had any since. And for some reason I was able to do that, and boop. But with food, no. I struggle on a daily basis not to overeat and eat junk for the comfort eating. And so many factors are tied into that: finance, emotional needs, and I've gone and spoken to doctors and counsellors about this and other issues, and it is a day-by-day fight. Now, I have a warrior goddess as my matron goddess, and so the fact that I see a lot of life as a fight, and I'll explain how I mean this. Not a fight against other people, right? Not attacking other people. The fight is to fight the good fight within yourself. To stand up for yourself. To stand up for people who can't stand up for themselves. To fight what are honestly, in your heart of hearts, know to be injustices in the world rather than slights against yourself. Because a true warrior and follower of the sort of pagan warrior path knows that little slights that people give aren't worth fighting about. Some people will feel the need to just clear their name. It's up to them. But fighting and spreading lies and malicious gossip is beneath what is worth fighting for. Now, these negative behaviours and patterns of fighting, you have to fight them every effing day, right? Depression is something else I suffer. You're not going to win that battle every day, but you're going to fight every day, because if you get up and fight it every day, At some point you're going to win. And at some point it's going to get easier. And it's going to take time. With any cycle breaking at all of any negative habit, it's going to take the time to get over, because you're used to it, because it brings you something. It brings you that high. It brings you a little bit of peace. It brings you, and it's not really peace, it's just artificial peace in place of something else. It brings you satisfaction of some kind, even though it's not a healthy kind. Human beings have this potential need to be, I was right, and that's an easy way to be right. You're like, oh, I can't do this, and then a couple of days you give in and you're like, see, I was right. And it's like, you've done it to yourself. It's not about being right. And judging other people, oh, well, I told you. It's like, well, what good is that? You're not breaking anything. You're not helping them. You're not helping yourself. You're not breaking a cycle. You are just pouring more negativity onto the situation, perpetuating the negative cycle. So here is what I think. We are itching our nose. We are coming up to Samhain, okay? It's the 15th today. You have 15 and a bit, depending on where you are, days to prepare. And as witches, we have tools at our disposal to do this, okay? Realization, identification of behaviors which you are doing, which you are putting out there, ways in which you are affecting yourself, other people, communities, etc. What am I doing that I need to stop doing? What behaviors am I engaging in? What words am I putting out into the world which I shouldn't? Whose lives am I affecting in a negative way? You could write it all down. It might be the easiest way of doing it. It probably is the best way of doing it, because you can keep reminding yourself, right? You can stick it by your computer, by your phone, on your fridge, wherever. Making the promise to yourself and to your goddess and God, or deities, or whomever, to stop. And maybe spend a couple of days meditating through it, opening circle, communing with goddess, saying, I need you to help me realize these behaviors. What behaviors which, whether or not you think at the time, oh, I didn't mean badly. Oh, I didn't mean to be judgmental. Oh, I didn't mean to fall back into bad habits. Oh, I didn't mean to have that drink. It doesn't fucking matter if you did it, alright? Intentions, yes, but whether or not you did it is the problem. And the goddess, my goddess in particular, but deity, divinity, spirit, etc., has the balance which we don't always have within ourselves, which has the objectiveness to tell us off, to help us realize. Because if you go into a situation and you think the divine is saying, oh, it's not so bad, you're not listening to the divine, you're listening to yourself, because the divine will be like, you need to stop that. If it's none of your business, stop. If it's damaging yourself, stop. If you're gossiping and not helping, stop. If you are addicted to X, Y, and Z, stop, go get help. And when your heart wrenches because the truth hurts, that's likely to be the truth. When the truth that we can't face finally comes and finds us, and it's like being punched in the stomach. Like, oh my God, I need to stop this. That rock bottom, that is the truth. That is divine saying, this needs to stop. Then, once you've got to realization, you need to move on to, what are you going to do? Well, I've said professional help because I believe that in 90% of cases, at least, maybe more, professional help is needed at some point, on some level, with certain points. It doesn't actually work at all times for everybody. I went to counselling many years ago, and it just made me feel worse, and I couldn't cope with it. I went back some years later and got a whole lot more from it. And then you have to work out a plan for yourself, how you're going to fight this behaviour on a daily basis, within and without. So let's take food, because food is easy, right? You go for professional help, you sign up for help with your doctor, or with a weight loss class, or the gym, or some exercise classes that you would enjoy. And you inform your family and your friends, and so you have backup. I wouldn't exercise with friends who are with weight loss goals personally, because I think you risk introducing this sort of loaded issue, which could be competitive but is not really healthy, because if they lose a load of weight and you feel bad, or you lose a load of weight, yeah, I don't agree with that suggestion personally. Excuse me. And so outwardly, you've then done these things. You stock your house with healthy things, and you know what your warning triggers are. You know what to have instead of crap. You know when you're going to crave it, and you have something on hand. You have carrot sticks instead of whatever. I don't know. That's a very personal, subjective thing, and how you actually do it is a personal thing, right? And then you work through it every single day. Maybe you write in a diary every single day. Today I got through it quite well. The next day I craved this, this and this. Maybe once a week you allow yourself a little treat as a success for the rest of the week, but you have to keep it small. You work on portion sizes, you work on an exercise plan, you go out for a walk every day. You make little adjustments here, there and everywhere, and they start to build up. That's the way to do it. Now, if you're having problems with a person in particular, pardon me, whether you're friends with them or not, maybe have you had the talk? If you haven't, nothing's changing, then you need to step away, you need to step back, you need to stop mentioning them, you need to stop going on about it, you need to stop perpetuating that negative cycle. You need to step away, stop it, leave them alone. Because it's affecting you, it's affecting them, and if you're putting it on YouTube, it's affecting the community. So you need to just, it doesn't matter, alright, okay? That you think you were right, that you can confirm your argument in the eyes of others, you can whatever, you're just perpetuating a negative toxic cycle. So there's no need to go attacking anybody, because if you think you're right, then what's the need? If you honestly think you were right, then what's the need to go around victory partying basically over somebody else? You are lording it over someone else, and basically you are perpetuating a negative cycle that does not need to be perpetuated. Kill it off. Stop mentioning them. Don't talk about them anymore. Stop making videos. Leave them be. Whomever, don't care. I don't care who it is. We have these cycles, and they need to stop. We need to stop trying to carry them on. The wheel of the year is about to shift into a new year, right? You have that potential to be a better, improved, newer, fresher, smilier version of you The new year is coming, and all that potential, all that excitement, all that possibility for change is right there. So the person who can bring about that change is you, and only you. I don't believe in these people who are like, why me? Because the only thing that you can do about your own behaviour is change it from within and then without. If people commit behaviours against you which are wrong, which are injustices, then you have to stop allowing them influence. You have, if legal action is required, then it's a whole other ball game, but take legal action. And you have to look after yourself. You have to cut out the negativity, cut out that person who is hurting you, and heal. Because if people are your true friends, okay, if people are your true partner, if people truly love you for you, they're not going to attack you, they're not going to spread hate about you, they're not going to spread gossip about you, they're not going to spread lies about you, they're not going to damage you as a human being, because that's not what love is on any level. You can't say that you love somebody and then take everything out on them. You can't say that you love somebody and broadcast how that they were wrong, they've done this, you were right, they're a bad person. That's not love. If you know that somebody is going through something, then love is not broadcasting their pain to everybody and trying to help them, trying to talk to them, trying to support them. And if they don't want your help or support, then you leave them be, because you can't force help on people, okay? You can't force your opinions on people. You can't force people to live in a different way. You can't force choices on people. It's not your job. Apart from anything, it's not your right. It's the divine's right. The divine will teach people lessons the hard way. Usually the hard way, because human beings are so thick-skulled that they need it the hard way. They need smacking over the head with their experiences before they sit back and go. Think about kids, right? Kids will stick their fingers in fire. And they will learn the hard way that it's hot, it burns, it hurts. And the same is true for adults with emotional learning experiences in life. They need to burn themselves to learn the lesson. And it's not up to me, it's not up to you, it's not up to anybody but their divine to teach them any lessons. We can be there, we can support. We can discuss and debate our ideas and our experiences and think that maybe this will help open somebody's eyes a little bit. But even that's a stretch. Just because I dealt with something the way that I dealt with it, just because I've been through something that I've been through, does not mean that X, Y, and Z person is going to go through that, maybe a very similar experience in exactly the same way. They're not going to feel the same way I did. They're not going to react the same way I did. They're not going to take what I took, maybe. They might. There's camaraderie, you know, that we can come together, we can discuss, we can debate, we can help, we can offer advice, but in the end it's just words. It may or may not help, and that's not for us, right? That's not for us. If you're offering pure and honest advice, then you know. And you know that you say this in the best of interests, and that the person involved might be like, not take it well, or not take it at all. But you on some level know whether you are offering it in the advice of, or I hope this helps. And on YouTube, I would suggest that you don't offer that advice to anybody specific ever. Why? Because you're not doing it to help. If you're aiming at specific people, whoever they may be, whether you use their names or not, it's not helping on YouTube, really, is it? You are bringing somebody's personal pain into public relief. You are offering judgment on that person and bringing other people in to offer judgment in a public realm. if they've brought the problem in on a public realm, people can argue, well, you know, they brought it into the public realm first. Well, I would disagree with them doing that. But if they did, it might be a call for help. And how we help people, I don't know. I don't understand why people need to judge rather than help, basically. It's adding to this toxic cycle. It is. So coming up to Samhain, you've then prepared your realization and plan of attack, right? So this is a problem, this is how I'm going to address it. Samhain is when you meditate and commit yourself to your goddess in a circle, and you honor your ancestors, you honor your dead, and at some point in that ritual you commit yourself to your goddess, to your god, to your divinity, to the people that matter. I say people. I mean, you might commit yourself to people, but you know what I mean. Divinity, right? You commit it to them. You say, I need your help, I need your inspiration, and I commit myself to you. And if you lie to them, good luck to you. If you're lying to them in circle, you should not be practicing witchcraft. You should not be practicing paganism. If you half commit yourself to something, you say you're committing to something and then you F it up, you're not honouring the high morals and principles that should come with being a witch, pagan, etc. We have a moral responsibility to ourselves and to the world around us, being witches, etc. Because we are more aware. So when we commit ourselves to this action to stop these negative cycles, when we promise our divinity to try our best, and I mean try our best. I don't mean, oh, I'll try my best and then the next day I don't mean. It's not the attitude. It's not the attitude. And divinity will punish you for it. You know, you will go through your lessons over and over and over and over, and it will hurt and hurt and hurt and hurt until you get it. In this lifetime. You will experience it over and over and over again in this lifetime. And if you don't, you're going to be reborn into the same goddamn lessons. Ugh. It just seems stupid to me. It just seems idiotic to want to repeat these cycles and hurts and toxic, negative bleh, when we could instead be going into the new year in a spirit of learning, a spirit of camaraderie, a spirit of friendship, and a spirit of love and helping and community. That's what we need. So at Samhain, you commit yourself, you write everything down, you burn it in the cauldron, the negative behaviours. You go before the goddess, you say, I promise to do this, this and this. I need your help with this part, and this part. I need you to support me and empower me and help me help myself. So that's it for today, because I've gone on for far too long now and I do not feel or look very nice. So that's it for today, folks. Many blessings.